back and watch it. Look at the blinking. Blink, look. Meet me at the house. Like, he's blinking. He's sending, I'm getting there. Hey, just so you know, I'm not wearing pants.
Ew.
And then, look, he's blinking. And then eventually the camera guy, realizing that he's signaling him, so he gets appalled, leans back, camera comes down, and then we're back to this. I'll do this for you. You do this for me a little. So he's saying whatever he's going to say. There it is. See? They couldn't hold him back. He's like, I'm not on film. Oh, I'm not. Nope. Oh.
Gavin Newsom struts in like California's very own James Bond. Sleek, confident, and glistening with enough hair gel to outlast a hurricane. He carries himself like nothing can touch him, soaking in the spotlight as if the world exists solely to adore him. But then, out of the shadows, steps Tyrus, a force of nature, a man built like a linebacker, armed with words that hit harder than a sledgehammer. When Tyrus opens his mouth, even the cameras seem to hold their breath. This isn't just criticism, it's a verbal ambush so sharp it could slice through ego itself. And believe me, what's coming next is pure detonation.
Phony. I'm totally weird. Gavin's hands. It's time for Gavin's hands.
The notion of agency, that we're not bystanders in the world. It's decisions, not conditions, that determine our fate and future. And that fundamental notion of agency, I think, is important more broadly. And I think that goes to some of the issues around, victimization. And I see a lot of that, respectively, on the right, increasingly, even with Trump often approaching things from that sort of.
California loves to sell the dream, all sunshine, surfboards, and glamorous nights under neon skies. A paradise painted in gold, where mornings begin with waves and nights glow with rooftop cocktails and kale smoothies. But peel back that shimmering postcard, and suddenly the paradise turns dark. The Golden State starts to look more like a chaotic Netflix docuseries spiraling out of control.
Go back and watch the tape.
Yes!
He literally goes, I want some of this, then you do some of this, and I'll do some of that back to you, and then we'll do this, and then I'll pay you, and then we'll do it again.
True.
And then she kept saying, no. Okay, how about this? You do this one first, then we do this one, then we give a little back and forth.
Glitter on the surface, decay underneath. The streets now resemble scenes straight out of Mad Max. Taxes crush harder than a heavyweight's punch, and people are bolting for the exits like it's a statewide sprint for survival. And there, in the center of this disaster, stands Gavin Newsom. Perfectly pressed suit, flawless smile, and hair so polished it could star in its own commercial. While chaos engulfs the streets, he poses calmly, as if the crumbling city around him is just part of his next glossy campaign photo.
Issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just.
Every time he steps up to a podium, it's like he's auditioning for a blockbuster. The pauses are rehearsed, the gestures are grand, and that smug grin says it all. Trust me, I've got this. But here's the shocking twist. While Newsom plays California's leading man, the entire production has become a blooper reel gone wrong. Homelessness soars, businesses flee like it's a fire drill, and the ordinary people left behind are asking why they're paying Beverly Hills prices to live in what feels like Gotham City's sequel.
Tyrus, did he leave out anything? I think there's about 100 other reasons too.
Well, it's not his words when he speaks.
Yeah.
You have to watch him closely. And some genius decided not to film him any lower than the shoulder.
Yes, did you? Yes.
So what did he do?
You couldn't see the hands.
No, but he sent Morris.
And then enters Tyrus, the reality check California never saw coming. He's not here to polish words or play politics. He's here to drop truth bombs that rattle the stage. Where Newsom shines with surface charm, Tyrus hits with raw force. Where Newsom flaunts his perfect hair, Tyrus smashes illusions with brutal honesty. Just picture it. Newsom, chest puffed, striding into the spotlight, hair gleaming like a trophy, bragging about his so-called Golden State progress. Meanwhile, San Francisco and Los Angeles, once jewels of America, now resemble open-air experiments in despair. Tyrus doesn't sugarcoat it. He slices straight through the fantasy. How can America's paradise look more like a live-action zombie film? Newsom promised a utopia, but what he delivered feels like The Walking Dead.
I'll be in the car.
Yes, I think you've done enough this evening. You can take the rest of the week off.
Thank you.
Charlie, I don't
We've
know
all
if you-
been there, right?
Yes, we have. Yeah, it's noisy in the
Sorry,
city.
every time I look, I just see him going. I'm sorry.
You know, another option it could be, because he's doing the whole rebrand with the podcast and he's trying to.
Let's talk business, because once upon a time, California was the crown jewel of American innovation. Silicon Valley was booming, Hollywood was dazzling, and Napa Valley poured success like fine wine. It was the dreamland everyone wanted a piece of, but under Newsom's glossy rule, that crown started to rust. Companies are fleeing faster than contestants realizing The Bachelor still lives with his parents. Headquarters vanish, jobs disappear, and the caravan heads toward Texas, Florida, and even Nevada. Imagine choosing desert heat over California's taxes. That says everything, and who dares to call it out? Tyrus, of course. He stares right at the mass exodus and says what the entire nation's been whispering. If people are running from paradise, maybe it's not paradise anymore. His words slice through the delusion like lightning, and then comes the memory no Californian can forget. The great lockdown hypocrisy. When Newsom ordered everyone to stay home, mask up, and sacrifice for the greater good, ordinary families were rationing toilet paper, cutting their own hair, and grieving through Zoom calls. Meanwhile, Newsom was clinking glasses with lobbyists under golden chandeliers, sipping wine like he was auditioning for The Great Gatsby.
Or
Yeah.
he's negotiating with the deaf prostitute.
Yeah.
Let's just stick with that.
Yeah.
More likely.
You can fix California while you stop by. 2 shows, you should be able to do that.
Hey, you know what? Real funny. So the other night, I got like 3 weeks ago. Time flies when you work. I get a text at 2 o'clock in the morning from the president, who says, "Hey, bro, I just filled California up with water. Governor's pissed and sent pictures. LOL post." Who doesn't love this president?
That dinner became the perfect emblem of his leadership. Rules for the people, perks for the king. And when Tyrus talks about it, he doesn't just mention it. He paints it with brutal precision. You can almost hear the silverware clinking as he mocks the scene. While Californians sat in sweatpants reheating pizza, Newsom was swirling his fine wine, declaring with a grin, "We're all in this together." The hypocrisy wasn't just obvious, it was theatrical. But Tyrus doesn't stop there. Not for a second. He doesn't rely on polished speeches or poll-tested lines. He just says it straight. Homelessness exploding, crime rising, gas prices punishing hardworking families. California doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like a sentence. And people listen because Tyrus isn't selling numbers or nonsense. He's describing what everyone lives. He's not spinning tales. He's exposing truths wrapped in humor, grit, and the kind of honesty that burns. Then comes the fallout. And it's absolutely priceless. On one side, ordinary people nod in agreement, relieved that someone finally said what they've been shouting at their TV screens for years. On the other, critics scramble to defend Newsom, tripping over excuses and calling Tyrus just an entertainer. But here's the irony. Yeah, when the man known for body slams makes more sense than the one running America's largest state, that says it all. Tyrus doesn't need charts, studies, or political spin. He just points at the wreckage and says what's screaming obvious. This isn't working.
Well, speaking of full of isn't it? I'm sorry, I'm confused. He's still governor, right?
Yes.
So he could do something about it. That's the most irritating thing, is that why did anyone say with a follow-up where he's like, the homeless situation is ridiculous? Follow-up question, aren't you governor?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between the radical left and President Trump. He'll talk about something as it's.
Newsom keeps selling California as a shining model of progress, but step one block off Rodeo Drive and the illusion collapses like a movie set after the credits roll. The runways are cracked, the lights are dim, and the future looks like it's being held together with duct tape. denial, and desperate press releases. And then, Tyrus takes his sharpest swing yet. He cuts through California's glossy illusion like a blade through silk. He's not mesmerized by drone shots of beaches or sparkling skylines. He looks directly at what's hidden behind the filters. The endless rows of tents beneath overpasses, the boarded up shops strangled by red tape, the families forced to choose between rent or calling a tent, camping with benefits. It's devastating and true. And then comes the punchline. If dysfunction were a sport, California would be the undefeated champion, and standing at the center of it all is the crown jewel of hypocrisy himself, Gavin Newsom. It's one thing to lead through chaos and admit failure, but it's another to play invincible while sneaking off to luxury dinners as citizens can't even grab a coffee without restrictions.
He's playing with us. Meet me at my house. You get mine. I get yours. It'll work out.
Paul, are they capable of soul searching? It feels like the party itself has no soul.
Yeah, I know. They have no soul. You know, it's a really interesting statement. If you just kind of, you can break it in two. He spends the whole first part of that saying, we lost because this. Essentially what he says is, folks, we were on the wrong side of every issue last.
The contrast is staggering, and Tyrus makes sure no one forgets it. That infamous dinner where Newsom cozied up with lobbyists inside a Michelin star restaurant wasn't just a scandal, it was arrogance on full display. While Californians were being told to cancel weddings, funerals, and even Thanksgiving dinners, he was savoring truffle pasta as if the rules were meant for everyone but him. And Tyrus never lets that slip away. He brings it back every time like it's Exhibit A in the trial of hypocrisy. It became the ultimate rules for thee, not for me moment. The kind that burns into memory. People never forget being fined or shamed for restrictions their own governor ignored. And hypocrisy like that doesn't just frustrate, it infuriates. Tyrus doesn't need to exaggerate or invent drama. He simply paints the picture so clearly you can almost see it. The sparkling chandeliers, the laughter echoing through the room, and the overpriced plates of pasta glistening under golden light, all while millions sat at home learning how to bake sourdough. It wasn't just tone deaf, and it was mockery disguised as leadership.
Gavin, I know him very well. He's incompetent. He's a nice guy, looks good. Hi, everybody, how you doing? He's got some strange hand action going. I don't know what the hell is his problem is. It's a little weird, to be honest. There's a little something shaky going on there.
I came into that recall campaign still arguing that all politics is local. I still had a romantic notion of that. I intellectualized that a lot of our politics and the discourse was national. I didn't fully appreciate how nationalized our politics have become. In so many ways, that shape-shifted a lot of what we're doing and who I am today. But this last year, these last 6-7 months, this is something altogether different.
Newsom turned sacrifice into spectacle, and Tyrus makes sure everyone remembers it. That's what makes Tyrus's delivery so powerful. He's not screaming or ranting. He's making people laugh while forcing them to nod in complete agreement. Because when politics turns this absurd, humor becomes survival, yet behind every joke, there's a brutal truth cutting through. California's issues aren't numbers on a spreadsheet. They're real struggles for millions of families. Rising crime leaves parents terrified to let their kids walk home. Gas prices climb so high, a road trip feels like paying off a small loan. Homeless camps grow across once safe neighborhoods. That's the punch. It's not about headlines, it's about real life. You can polish speeches all you want, but results shout louder. And California's results are screaming. Tyrus shines a blinding light on the cracks no one in power wants to admit. He proves you don't need fancy language to expose failure. Just the guts to say what's real.
Yeah, his hands are just weird, though, Tyrus. They're always doing funky things.
Yeah, I thought it had something to do with the California budget cuts and stuff, since they didn't have a hearing impaired transitioner anymore. I'm not paying money for that. I'll do it myself.
His words slice through political spin like a blade through glass, leaving only truth and impact behind. He reminds everyone that California is still breathtakingly beautiful, full of potential, but somehow can't even keep the lights on during a summer heat wave. The state brags about being the world's 5th largest economy, yet families are fleeing to Arizona just to buy groceries without breaking their wallets.
So,
A little bit of bubble.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you were the sign person for the TV going,
No, he reminds me there of, remember the guy who did the sign language at Mandela's funeral?
And that's where Tyrus's voice hits hardest. He doesn't talk like a politician. He talks like the guy you'd meet at a gas station, shaking his head at 7-a-gallon prices, muttering about the governor's latest stunt. That's why people listen, because he sounds like them. Californians are living this chaos every day. So when Tyrus says it out loud, it feels like validation, like someone finally dared to tell the truth. He doesn't just watch the fire burn, he points at it, smirks, and says what everyone's been thinking. Maybe it's time to stop pretending California is America's model. Maybe it's time to admit that the glossy postcard is nothing but a lie. Maybe, just maybe, it's time for leaders who fix problems instead of posing for cameras.
I was in the White House, this is one of the first things I would do. Clean up your streets. Instead of sending our military men and women out to other places to make other countries safe, make our streets safe. How is this an argument? If you don't like it, what's not to like? Other than that you have to tip your hat to the orange devil. That's the problem. Then you know what? Find a way like your own. Like, no, you will not bring in 1,500 National Guards. We will only allow 1,200. And then call it a victory. Clean up your neighborhoods. Leave the politicians out to go out on the ocean, on the waterfront at 6 o'clock in the morning. But notice he wasn't filming himself.
That's why Tyrus's takedown hits like a hammer to glass. It's not politics, it's reality. No filters, no speeches, just raw truth coated in sarcasm and sting. He reminds everyone that no matter how much spin politicians pour out, people still have eyes. And what they see tells the story. The beaches are still sunny, yes, but you'll drive past tent cities just to reach them. California still glitters, but the shine is cracking under taxes, crime, and chaos. And thanks to Tyrus, those cracks can't be ignored anymore. He proves leadership isn't about perfect hair or poetic speeches. It's about accountability. And under Newsom, California's been running on vibes instead of vision. The saddest part, no one's even surprised now. The scandals, the double standards, the hypocrisy, they've become just another Tuesday in the so-called Golden State.
Well, speaking of full of isn't it? I'm sorry, I'm confused. He's still governor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he could do something about it. That's the most irritating thing is that why did anyone say with a follow-up where he's like, the homeless situation is ridiculous? Follow-up question, aren't you the governor?
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. That's the difference between the radical left and President Trump. He'll talk about something as it's...
When Tyrus unloads, the illusion doesn't just crack, it completely shatters. The humor makes the truth easier to swallow, but the sting stays long after the laughter fades. And here's where things turn truly fascinating. If one man can tear down Newsom's polished image with just a handful of sharp words, imagine what happens when others start speaking up too. When the Hollywood gloss fades, what's left are broken promises, empty storefronts, and leaders more obsessed with branding than with the people they're supposed to serve. California might still sparkle on Instagram, but Tyrus has stripped away the Valencia filter, and now the unedited reality can't be denied. Once that illusion vanishes, no speech, no slogan, and no photo op can bring it back. Californians aren't buying the fantasy anymore. They're living the reality every single day. And Tyrus says what they've all been whispering in frustration. The dream's cracked, the mask is slipping, and the truth is finally out. His blunt honesty cuts deeper than any campaign ad or press release because it feels real. And if one voice can shake California's golden image this hard, imagine what happens when more join in. The cracks spread, and suddenly, the California dream isn't the dream anymore. It's the warning. Tyrus didn't create the chaos. He just ripped the curtain wide open, and now everyone can finally see what's been lurking behind the glamour all along. The truth isn't hiding anymore. It's standing in plain sight, and it's not pretty. So here's where it all lands. The illusion's gone, the shine has cracked, and the truth now stands exposed under the harsh light of day.